How far away are the Winnipeg Jets from contending for a Stanley Cup? The Athletic have released a list of 10 key attributes that every Stanley Cup contender and winner requires in order to push for Lord Stanley's Cup. I'm going to go ahead and give you my own take on it. So I'm going to link the Athletics article down below. They did a little bit of a different analysis using advanced stats. I'm going to use my own analysis using my own advanced stats and train coach's eye for this. I'm going to tell you how close I think the Winnipeg Jets are. I do think that all 10 requirements that the Athletics have checked off are valid, make sense, and I think it is key facts. I think it is facts that you need these 10 things or as many of these 10 things as possible in order to win a Stanley Cup. I've ordered them in importance from 1 to 10 as well too. The Athletic did not do that. So my own spin on a great article from there, and you can go check out their own. And if you agree with me, let me know down below in the comments with my analysis. If you agree with the Athletic, let me know down below in the comments. And if you have your own list or think this is totally out to lunch or your own opinions, let me know down below in the comments. So what are the 10 characteristics of a Stanley Cup winning team according to the Athletic? And a little bit of a spin by Coach Ryan D. 1 through 10, here they are. The first thing is you need an elite centerman, 1 through 10. You need an elite D-man, 1 through 10. These are guys that are going to eat up huge minutes. You need a top 10 goalie at the moment in time. This doesn't necessarily mean to be an elite goalie like Hellebuyck or Vasilevsky, but it means you need to have a top 10 goalie at the moment in time. See Jordan Binnington's Stanley Cup win with the St. Louis Blues. You need an elite winger to go ahead and play with that elite centerman. You need 2 top wingers to go along with that elite winger. So that's an elite winger and 2 really good wingers. That's 3 so far. You need a top line center playing in the second hole. You need depth. You need 2 top players playing in the middle 6. If you're on a bad team, you're playing on the top 6, but you're on a Stanley Cup team, you're likely playing on the middle 6. That's what we're saying here. I mean, we all know the top 6 for teams. That's 4 wingers times 32 teams. That's a lot of wingers, but you still need 2 top wingers playing in the middle 6. And then finally, you need defensive depth like crazy. You need a number 1 defenseman to partner with that elite defenseman, think Ekblad and Weegar. Then you need a top pair defenseman playing in the second line, think McDonough. And then you need a top pair defenseman playing on the third line, think Sergachev. Are you just talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning here, Ryan? Yes, they're a dynasty. There's a very good reason they have won so many Stanley Cups, or at least 2 in a row, and have been contending for so long because they've checked most of these boxes. So does Florida, so does Calgary, so does Colorado. Let's go ahead and check off the Winnipeg Jets, starting with number 1, the elite number 1 center. Schiefele and Dubois do not check this box right now. Dubois may be able to blossom into that elite 1 to 10 center. Scheifele's defense is frankly so bad that even though at a point per game player, he is not ranked 1 through 10. I think the Winnipeg Jets organization disagrees with that. I think they think Mark Scheifele is a 1 through 10 center, but I do not. Mark Scheifele falls outside of the top 10. I can think of 10 centers I would rather have than Mark Scheifele. There is no elite center on the Winnipeg Jets. Do the Jets have an elite number 1 D-man? No, they do not. Josh Morrissey is an elite skater. Neil Pionk is fine, but we do not have an elite number 1 D-man. I cannot think of a Victor Hedman, of an Aaron Ekblad, of a Charlie McAvoy, of a Cale Makar anywhere on this team. Number 3 is a top 10 goalie, and the Winnipeg Jets have that year in and year out with Connor Hellebuyck. He's an elite goalie. He's even higher than top 10 in my opinion. Connor Hellebuyck checks this box for us. Hey, Jets fans, don't forget we're sponsored by BetUS. Head over to BetUS.com right now to get a 125% deposit bonus if you're a Canadian or American resident. Make sure you're over the age of majority and keep gambling recreational. Thanks. Number 4, the elite winger that's ranked 1 through 10. We absolutely have that in Kyle Connor. He's a scoring machine. Kyle Connor is just elite as elite gets when it comes to wing. I have guys like him and Kucherov and Patrick Kane right at the top. He is a top 3 winger in the NHL right now. Kyle Connor is damn good, and he's going to stay there for a long time. Number 5 is, do we have 2 top wingers to play amongst the top 6 right now? And I believe we do. I believe Blake Wheeler and Nick Ehlers are 2 top wingers in the NHL right now. Nick Ehlers is way ahead of Blake Wheeler, but again, do the math before your head explodes, Wheeler haters. There are 4 times 32 amount of top wingers in the NHL, and yes, I have Blake Wheeler ranked between 10 and 80. No, he's not anywhere close to number 10, but he doesn't fall outside of the top 80. Nick Ehlers is a damn good winger as well too. Nick Ehlers is one of the driving forces behind the team. The Jets are still able to check this box even with Blake Wheeler's putrid defensive efforts on the Jets. He does check that box for me to make it into the top 80. Then how about a top line center at line 2? I believe we have that. I believe whether Mark Schiefele or Pierre-Luc Dubois were playing on any team in the NHL, they would be a number 2 center, and they're a top line center playing on line 2. So these are number 1 guys on teams like the Winnipeg Jets, but they would definitely still be a number 2 centerman on teams like the Colorado Avalanche or even the Tampa Bay Well, maybe number 3 on the Lightning. I mean, Point and Stamkos are damn good as well too. But you get what I'm saying. They're both very good centermen. They check this box. All right, how does the Winnipeg Jets depth check look right now? We go ahead and take a look at the wingers not named Nick Ehlers or Blake Wheeler because we've already used them. So do we have 2 top 6 in the middle 6 right now? We do. We have Paul Stastny, who's playing in the middle 6. Look, I'm going to still say line 1 is the Pierre-Luc Dubois line. I understand Paul Stastny's on the top line, but let's be real. Paul Stastny and the Mark Schiefele Blake Wheeler line is line 2 in all reality. So I think Paul Stastny gets to check this box being in the middle 6. But hey, if you want to say it's the top line, whatever. C'est la vie. I guess Kyle Connor, the elite winger, goes ahead and checks this box in this category. Doesn't work that way. So Paul Stastny, I think, checks this box. And I believe Cole Perfetti checks this box right now, playing on the wing when he plays with PLD on the second pair as well. He does end up checking this box. Now, if you want to say, hey, Ryan, you just said PLD is the first line and he moves up, then you're right. But again, we've already used Kyle Connor, and then we're looking at the next 2 wingers after that. And the next 2 best wingers for the Winnipeg Jets after Kyle Connor, Blake Wheeler, and Nick Ehlers, Paul Stastny, and Cole Perfetti. So when you take a look at that, that's 5 pretty good wingers that the Winnipeg Jets have acquired. Okay, now we get into the defensive depth. It's the run-on defenseman. Do we have a number 1 D-man playing in the second position? No, we don't. I do not have Josh Morrissey or Neil Pionk in the top 30. I didn't have them in elite. I don't have them in the top 30. I have them outside the top 30. If you have them in the top 30, that's great, but I'd say you're wrong. These guys do not crack the top 30 of top NHL defensemen. I think they make it in at about position 40. That's where Josh Morrissey enters, in my opinion. So that means then if you take a look at pair 2, which is defensemen 3 and 4 in the NHL, these are going to be defensemen who are ranked anywhere between 30 and 60. Morrissey, Pionk, and Schmidt could all check this box. I think all 3 of these defensemen are quality 3-4 defensemen on a Stanley Cup winning team. They are just not elite or number 1 defensemen. So the Jets are missing that top end help, but in the middle, they're pretty strong. And then finally, number 10, that top pair D-man in pair 3. Again, think Mikhail Sergachev. We're only left with Dylan DeMello. We're left with Brendan Dillon, but he's technically playing in the top 4. We're left with Ville Heinola, and we're left with Logan Stanley. None of them check this box. Brendan Dillon was never going to play in the third pairing. If the Jets acquired 2 elite defensemen and didn't have to cut or trade Josh Morrissey, Neil Pionk, or other guys, Dillon would fall down into this category. But we all know there's no way the Jets can get an elite defenseman while hanging on to the salary cap constraints and bottlenecks that they have on the back end for the Winnipeg Jets right now. So there's no way Dillon would ever fall out of the top 4 with any team in the NHL, in my opinion, based on his salary. Okay, so what's our conclusion for this? Well, in my opinion, you build around 5 key players if you want to win a Stanley Cup for the Jets. You build around PLD, you build around Connor, you build around Connor Hellebuck, you build around Nick Ehlers and Cole Perfetti. Those are your untouchables. That is the core of the Winnipeg Jets right now. Trader Hope, go ahead and take a look at the salaries in the Trader Hope category. Schiefele, Wheeler, Morrissey, and Schmidt. There's 2 things you can do here. You can trade them to free up assets to try to bring in and fill those holes for the elite centerman and for the elite defenseman that you're missing, or you can hold on to them and hope that Mark Schiefele can claim a position again as 1 through 10 as an elite player. That means he's got to pick up his defensive play. You can hope that Blake Wheeler picks up his defensive play and figures it out. You can hope that Josh Morrissey turns into that elite defenseman, that 1 through 10, and you can hope that Nate Schmidt turns into that top pairing defenseman to play with Josh Morrissey as he is being paid to do. So you have a pair of Morrissey and Schmidt, meaning Morrissey is a 1 through 10 defenseman and Schmidt is anywhere between 11 and 30. So you can hope they get back to that level. But so far, these 4 players did not do that this year, and they are carrying a lot of salary cap. That means when we pull up our final checklist and our final conclusion, we're missing 4 key areas. We're missing an elite centerman. We're missing an elite D-man. We are missing defensive depth out the yin-yang. We just have a whole bunch of 3 and 4 defensemen that are paid exactly like 3 and 4 defensemen should be. A 3-4 defenseman gets between $5 and $6.8 million in the NHL. Look it up. It's science. That's what these players are being paid at. They're just being asked to perform in the 1-2 role, and they haven't got there. The hope for Kevin Cheveldayoff was that he got Josh Morrissey on a steal and that Morrissey would have grown into his contract and been that number 1. It hasn't happened yet, and Morrissey has hit the age where it is getting very much more unlikely that Morrissey will move into that elite territory. He's an elite skater. He's got an elite shot. Josh Morrissey does not have an elite brain. He does not play defense in his own zone the way it should be played. He plays tough, he plays aggressive, he plays chippy, but he does not play good position in front of the net. And I have seen way too many goals and things go in because Josh Morrissey is running around looking to exit the zone with his team for offense. It's my trained coach's eye opinion on Josh Morrissey. So I do not think he will ever enter the realm of elite defensemen or even top 30 defensemen in the NHL. So that leaves us finally with the requirements for the Winnipeg Jets. How are they going to fill their three biggest needs, their elite center, elite D-man, and number one D-man? Well, there's a couple ways that you can fill it. When you're looking at your elite center, you can hope that PLD turns into that. I think that's still possible. I think PLD could turn into a 1-10 centerman. I love his game and what he's doing right now. We've finally seen one full year of confidence. I'm excited to see what he's going to do next year. So it's possible he fills it. It's also possible Cole Perfetti fills that role. I think Perfetti is just oozing with talent right now. This could have been an absolutely massive steal in the draft. Perfetti, even though he's playing on wing right now, may be just too damn good to leave on the wing, and he may move into a centerman role. He's that good, people. He really is. Number 3 is you could draft it. Basically, any of these positions, almost all of these positions have to be drafted. These don't really get traded or adjusted in the NHL, so you have to win a lottery in order to get them. The Jets, not making the playoffs this year, could win the lottery and get a guy like Shane Wright. Unlikely, but possible. An elite D-man, you could trade or draft for him. Why can you trade for him? Because Jacob Chychrun is out there. Yes, I am saying Jacob Chychrun is an elite defenseman in the NHL. I don't see how there's any way to argue it. He is a top 10, in my opinion, out there. He is not of the caliber of a Cale Makar, but he is damn good, and he just plays on a horrible franchise. As soon as that guy gets out of Arizona, you're going to see it. He's going to blossom. This guy is an elite defenseman that can eat up 28, 35 minutes on any team. He is so damn good. So he's out there. He's available for trade. He's just ridiculously expensive. Okay, so that concludes our rant on the Winnipeg Jets. Do you think the Winnipeg Jets are really that close? I don't. If I'm going to take this home, I don't think Kevin Cheveldayoff's going to make a bunch of big moves for this. I think he's going to hold pat. I think he thinks of his players higher than I think of his players, and many others think of his players. I think he's going to hope that those players end up growing into the roles that he drafted them into. And that leads me to one simple conclusion in the offseason. I don't think the team's going anywhere under Cheveldayoff. If he believes this is the right crew in order to do it, I fully disagree with that. I think he's got some good pieces to it, but I do not see this team getting into the same level of contention as Calgary, Colorado, Florida, or Tampa Bay based on the contracts, the age, and the requirements needed to win a Stanley Cup that the Jets are missing. But you let me know what you think down below.